Yeah, very clear. That's really cleared everything up for me. I didn't quite understand it, but now, yeah, I see where you're going, and very
Mm,
important how you cash out. It's very, very important thing to think about.
yeah, yeah. The other thing, and we can kind of show you some I guess visuals on this another time because it works really well. Is um, the price that the company will buy the metals back from you, called the buyback price, is actually really important and massively overlooked. And this is the
Ah,
whole thing with starting with the end in mind. So um, think about buying metals as like when you swap currencies. Let's say you go from pounds to euros. If you have £100, you switch it to euros. If you switched it straight back from euros to pounds, you wouldn't get £100 because there's a cost, there's a fee when you go from pounds to euros, the first exchange. And there's also a fee going euros back to pounds. You know, whenever you've gone on holiday, you just think, well, there's no point swapping my money back because you get hardly anything for it.
yeah.
Well, with metals, it's the same. There's a cost for swapping your cash to metals and then metals back to cash. Company that we work with, um, they don't have a fee when you swap your metals to cash. So there's only a fee on the way on going in into metals, not on the way back. So imagine your euros, you've swapped pounds to euros, you've been on holiday, you've got your euros and you're swapping them back to pounds, and you get the exact market rate, the exact exchange rate. There's no loss.
Okay.
For us, that's really important because think about it like this. Let's say you've got £1,000 worth of €1,000 worth of metal, yeah, and over time, the trend is that metals go up in value over time. So let's stretch it out over 10 years. And I'm going to butcher the numbers here, but just go with me for the illustration. So €1,000 worth of metals. At 10 years' time, they're now worth 2,000 euros worth. If you're charged a percentage of the value when you exchange, even a small percentage at the other end 10 years later becomes a bigger number because now it's not
Mhm.
1-2% on 1,000, it's 1-2% on 2,000.
Mhm.
So people, when they buy metals, they look at the buy price and they look at the price they would get if they sell, but that's if you sell today. You're not selling today, you're buying today. So you need to look at how the price is going to fluctuate over this time and what you're going to get at the other end. I don't know whether
Okay.
that's I've made that kind of a bit too complicated, but we
No.
can show you some visuals. And essentially,
Mm.
we'd actually rather pay a little bit more when we buy and have the best buyback price because we know that's a percentage on a potentially much bigger number at the other side. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Clear.
we start with the end in mind. And say let's lock in the best buyback price, even if you have to pay a little bit more upfront, because that more upfront is on a smaller number compared to 10 years time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So as the metals grow, we get 100% of the growth rather than 95% of the growth.
Understood. Yeah.
And
Mm,
if you do your research, if anybody watching this does their research and looks at this themselves, they'll find this out for themselves. Most
yeah,
bullion dealers will charge 3, 4, 5% at the back
up
end.
to up to 10% I've
Up to
seen
10, actually, you're
for,
right.
for
Holy
Yeah,
buying back
yeah,
moly.
for buying back. Which
yeah.
imagine if you think your metals have made all this money, you've seen the market, seen the market go up, and you think, yeah, great, this is my time to exit for whatever reason, and you don't get the full value of the growth. Again, we don't want any more surprises. Do it
Mm.
with your eyes open. These are the kind of mantras that we kind of spit out because you don't want to be disappointed at the other end. We don't anyway. We want it to be actually really boring and predictable.
Mm. And no hidden fees or anything like that. And that's why we
Mm,
love our guys again, because they're
yeah,
so transparent. There's no
Yeah.
hidden fees. And there's many companies that we've looked at in the past because people
yeah,
have come to us saying, oh, these guys are selling metals really cheap. We've looked into it and thought, oh, it looks good on the surface, but as soon as you
yeah,
start digging deep, the
Yeah.
buyback price is ridiculous. The admin charges for this and for that, and charges for the storage fees are sky high, and it's just ridiculous. So it doesn't actually. It ends up being a lot more expensive. The metals are a lot more expensive, you know.
Yeah.
You got to look at that big picture and take everything into account. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great this, because I can see already how many mistakes I've made. Luckily, I haven't got much. Luckily, I didn't get much, but you can see how easily you can go wrong.
Yeah,
for sure. And we made mistakes.
Yeah,
and I think as well, after a bit, you get to understand the jargon words and the buzz phrases and things like that bullion dealers use. And after a bit, you go, I kind of see what's happening here. And not that I'm sure there is scam companies and stuff, but these are legitimate companies that we're talking about. They just all do it in a different way, and they've all got to make money. You know, they're not in this for just to do a nice thing and make no profit. We get that, but you just want it to be clear, transparent, and minimize your costs for the whole lifetime of your investment.